But Union Berlin does do business, but the business here is not about football profit making. It is about actual football, and that is one of the reasons why I love supporting them.
And of course, Union Berlin, known for playing in quite a small stadium, to be honest, the Alte Forsterei, the old forestry hub, as it would be translated into English. It's a small stadium, but my goodness, it makes a lot of noise.
Okay, you have to be there.
It's as old school as you can imagine. They don't even have a digital scoreboard.
No,
right?
They still have the traditional scoreboard where they have to put the. I've watched two games in there, but being in that stadium, it's electric. It's like the fans. One thing about the Union fans, even if that team is losing, they are not like, walk away, get angry and that sort of stuff. They still support their fans. They still say thank you every match day for them. It's a thank you to the football players for being on the pitch, for giving all their best.
So certainly a team that has got the support of its fans, no matter where they go or no matter how they play. And they've done well. I mean, they've not been in the Bundesliga for all that long, have Union Berlin, who now have the ball and looking to knock the ball into the Bayern box. It comes in from the left-hand side, aiming far across, but fortunately for Bayern, Stanisic is there to knock it out of play. But Union still have the ball. They are trying to find a way to unlock the stubborn defense. And Soki knocks it over, but ends up high in the sky. Header comes in, but it creeps all the way to Jan Urbich, who I think must be enjoying his time, not profiting necessarily from the injuries of his fellow keepers, but he's spending valuable time in the goal, right?
He is, and remember that he's still injured, right? He's not 100% fit, but Bayern cannot trust themselves in bringing their reserve goalkeeper, Leonard Prescott, who is, by the way, just 16 years old.
Imagine being 16 years old and playing for Bayern Munich.
Play for Bayern. That is crazy. So I guess that's the reason why they still risk it with Jonas Obig, which, I think it's a good decision. So the defense of Bayern have to be really, really good to shield Obig from all the pressure coming from Union. I mean, I would understand as well, because Union, they're not known to being like, an attacking team. They're known to be like, they play in a really compactful way, and they also sit deep. But don't take that to be a weakness, because that is a really, really good thing, because when there's a counter-attack, they're very good at it, and they're also very good at set pieces.
So Union Berlin currently sit 9th in the table. They've actually scored 31 goals, but shipped 42 goals, which is kind of surprising for a team that has got a goal difference of -11, but is still sitting that high up in the Bundesliga table. They are on 32 points, which is actually only 8 points above the relegation zone, believe it or not, despite the number of places. They are very, very far away from Bayern Munich, who have literally more than double the points at 68, right at the summit of the Bundesliga. Now, there was a match last night, Buba, that we both were very surprised by the result, if we're honest.
To be honest, I was so surprised. That was the match between RB Leipzig and Hoffenheim, yeah. And Hoffenheim, they've kind of stabilized things a bit this season. Even the last season, they had some trouble. And RB Leipzig haven't really been good this season. So I wasn't expecting for RB Leipzig to really dominate that particular match. But at the end, 5-0, Kai. 5-0 goal against Hoffenheim. Well, that is crazy.
And with that, RB Leipzig actually leapfrog Hoffenheim to go up into 3rd place in the Bundesliga. Now, most teams haven't played. Of course, Stuttgart hasn't played. Dortmund hasn't played yet either. They play later today. But big result there for RB Leipzig and a boost for their Champions League hopes.
Kai, we have some amazing news coming from Cologne. Cologne are living the Rhine Derby right now, 2-1 against Borussia Mönchengladbach. That is really interesting. We're just into about 5 minutes of game time, less than 6 minutes of game time. Cologne have scored 2 goals to 1. That is an interesting game in the Rhineland, where we are currently reporting from. So we're looking forward to that particular one. I see my engineer there, Stefan, getting extremely excited because he wants to support in FC Cologne.
So certainly all of us here at DW Africa, all ardent football fans and all following our favorite teams all across the Bundesliga, that we are all very happy to be bringing you this great matchup as Bayern Munich go on the attack here, trying to get forward. But there's some really stubborn defending going on here from Nsoki and Derek Korn on the left-hand side of that Union Berlin defense. It's going to be a difficult day for all of those players, looking at Nsoki, Querfeld, Danilo Duki, trying to keep the likes of Harry Kane, Leonard Karl and Olise quiet. I think that's a job nobody really ever wants to have to do.
You don't want to stand against that particular lineup. But it's going to be an interesting one today. As you see, Dayot Upamecano has already picked up a yellow card for a bad tackle there. So he's going to have a lot on his plate. And maybe he might have to be replaced there. But I don't know. Probably Rafael Guerreiro. He's not really known to be a central defender. He plays good at the left back. So we might see. Probably Kompany might have no option but to replace Upamecano.
Well, to be honest, there isn't all that much to choose from on the bench. Bayern have elected not to select Luis Diaz or Nicholas Jackson. And on the bench, there's only Rafael Guerreiro and Hiroki Ito who could be used as defenders. On the rest of the bench, it's Maicon Douglas, who is also a player of Brazilian and Portuguese heritage, who could come on as a striker, but certainly that's not an area where they do have trouble here, as Harry Kane almost slips through after a great pass from Michael Olise and almost collides with goalkeeper Frederick Bruno, but no damage done there, and the ball just goes wide. But this was really out of nowhere, actually.
Out of nowhere, a ball from Olise looking all the way into the 6-yard box there for Harry Kane. Harry Kane dashed in front of Frederick Reno. Reno managed, actually didn't get the ball.
He didn't get, I think, I'm not even sure that, well, actually, Harry Kane did manage to get a tip, but it was never going in. But Vincent Kompany likes what he sees already from his players, even though he knows that if this lineup doesn't produce the goods, he has precious little to choose from, actually, doesn't he, Buba?
It does. It doesn't have that much, because if you look at the bench right now if you look at the bench there of Bayern Munich, you would see that, like you said, only Rafael Guerreiro and Hiroki Ito, they are the only experienced one there, and maybe Tom Bishop. Everyone else, they've only had like 1 or 2 appearances for Bayern. As we watch on the right-hand side, Olise dribbling down that on the right-hand side, looking into the 18-yard box. Is he going to go past? No, it was willfully defended there by Union Berlin.
Well, actually, excellent defending there by Leopold Querfeld in the end, who had to come across to really stop Olise, because nowhere else was being able to do it. Really good defending, also making sure he did not commit any foul. It goes out for a corner, which I believe is going to be Olise using the left foot to try and knock this in. Everybody is almost up, but there's a lot of free space here for Serge Gnabry, who's not near it at the end, and it gets headed out of play. Early start here, but not very electric, I would say, Buba.
So far it has not been, but I wouldn't expect this game to change, because Bayern have got to be careful with the level of injuries they have. And looking at the bench that they also have, I don't think they have much option but to be careful, because any injury might also harm them in their Bundesliga campaign. Well, maybe not so much, but looking at the games that they have coming, the Champions League, that could be a really dangerous one. So Bayern might not want to get any injury from this particular match day today.
Ball coming across the right-hand side. Olise again at the center of it. He turns back, tries to go and get the better of Nsoki. He gets a good cross, but it doesn't reach its intended target, which was, of course, Harry Kane. Now, up comes Stanisic and Konrad Laimer, the Austrian. They try to work it forward, but they fail. And it goes actually all the way out of play. In fact, Union Berlin played to their coach, who is a very, how would we say, charismatic player, a charismatic former player and current coach, Stefan Baumgartner.
He is a really interesting character, as he puts it, Kai. It's so interesting to watch him on the touchline there, the way he pushes his team, the sort of energy he brings into the stadium. In Germany, it's a bit controversial, but he's a likable man. If you watch him, the passion he brings in there, and he's always been an Union Berlin fan. He also holds a membership card, even when he was a coach for FC Cologne and even for HSV Hamburg, he was still a registered member of Union Berlin.
So he's actually born in former East Germany, is Stefan Baumgartner, And there was a time in his career when his football career wasn't really working out. And he even considered stepping away from football, and at one point worked in the riot police. He also did a traineeship as a mechanic before his talent was recognized by, I believe it was Hansa Rostock, who brought him back into the fold and brought him back into football. He said that he did play in the Bundesliga. He also actually scored against Bayern Munich in the days of Oliver Kahn, believe it or not. But he says that it was a good memory to score against Bayern Munich. But as he put it, it always ends the way it ends. When you score against Bayern Munich, they often end up winning those games.
That's right.
But Stefan Baumgartner, as you say, has also coached in the Bundesliga with HSV Hamburg, big club there, Cologne as well, and now doing his best to bring up. He also coached Paderborn, remember?
Right. He did.
And anyway, here we come with Bayern Munich again on the attack. And they try to work it in. It's a good cross, but the center box is really, really busy with practically everybody on the pitch. Now, can Rani Khedira get upfield here? He pulls back a bit, and Union Berlin unable to get numbers forward in attack. This is the problem playing against Bayern Munich. They've got such fast defenders.
That's right.
That even if you have a step on them, there's always one coming back.
And exactly the strategy I talked about earlier, Union Berlin sitting deep and looking for counter-attacks. That's exactly what just happened. But Bayern have players that are very fast. You could actually see Olise rushing down there. Even the front forward, all of their the 5 players in the forward there, they were all dropping really deep to help defend against Union Berlin, and they managed to win the ball.
So one of the interesting things you also mentioned about how they actually use their right and left backs as, essential wingers, Konrad Leimer and Josip Stanisic. What that means is that you often see Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka actually coming back almost as defenders. It almost seems that Joshua Kimmich is a centre back.
That's right. That's mostly the role he plays. He's kind of like the player that distributes the ball. Mostly, he doesn't really make the play, he distributes it, and he does that efficiently. Players who actually make play are Goretzka, Leonard Karl, Olise, Gnabry. These are the guys that really, but you can also tell that these are attacking midfielders, so they're doing their job. As we see Olise right on the right-hand side into the 18-yard box looking for Serge Gnabry, but the ball kicked off away by Stanley Nsoki.
Right now, you're seeing also that Bayern Munich seeming to lack a bit of cutting edge. The ball just moves a bit too slowly to cause real damage for the Union Berlin defense. It's going to be interesting to see how long they're able to withstand this. Union Berlin, by the way, they're not absolute mugs. They've got some very experienced players like Yannick Haberer, Christopher Trimmel as an old hand, Rani Khedira, famously also a brother of Sami Khedira. This is not a team of amateurs.
It is not. We see another counter-attack by Union Berlin right on the right-hand side, looking into the center circle. Who is there? We have Rani Khedira looking for Kern. Derek Kern on the left-hand side. Is he going to take a flank? He did into the 18-yard box, but landed in front of Harry Kane.
Harry Kane all the way back defending. Now, we mentioned also Harry Kane. And as he actually plays a very good pass all the way out to Leonard Karl, who finds himself quite alone here and waits for some support. He does get it from Kimmich. Kimmich passes it back to Karl. Karl moves into the box, left-footed shot, and it ends up in the arms of Frederick Grunner. That's the first shot on goal, Buba.
It is the first shot of goal from Leonard Karl, from Bayern Munich by Leonard Karl. An interesting one there, but it didn't surprise me. Renault is not an easy goalkeeper to beat, and that ball was really easy right into his arm, and he just pulled it down. I'd say easy because, of course, he's the professional.
He makes it look easy.
It makes it look easy, of course, yeah.
Of course, Frederick Renault, also known as the Danish keeper, who also has played for Denmark internationally, but also a mainstay in the Bundesliga as well for Union Berlin, and he's a good. And here comes a shot across. Oh, my goodness. Almost a great chance there for Union Berlin. Kind of, again, out of the middle of nowhere. It gets all the way across to Serge Gnabry on the left-hand side, who's able to calm things down. But, my goodness, that just went over the head of, I believe, it was Tim Skarke who almost got on the end of that.
Right. That was a really nice flank there. And it came really, really close. I think it was supposed to be Yannick Haberer to take that header. And didn't get hold of it, and Bayern are on the offensive now. Harry Kane tried to get the shot but deflected on the defense there of Union Berlin. Bayern are trying all their best, but so far none of their shots are going through.
Yeah, now on the bench we can see Coach Stefan Baumgartner, who's known across the Bundesliga for his trademark flat cap. He always wears it. He's when he dresses up for games, it's kind of informal. He looks like a guy who's just walked onto a football pitch, and has assumed the coaching role. But he is a consummate professional and very much known for his emotional outbursts.
And one thing that you need to know about him is that in the deep winter, when it gets in the minus degrees, this guy goes to the stadium in a bare t-shirt.
Yeah.
In a bare t-shirt, standing there, and everyone's like, why do you do that? And I think he says it's like to motivate his team, to show the team that he's also suffering on the touchline. He's not having it easy. That's why he wants to show them that they need to put a bit more. I don't know, that's his style, but he does it anyways. Crazy.
Corner kick for Bayern Munich coming in from the left side. It's going to be Kimmich with his right boot. Knocks it in close, but it's well defended there. Rani Khedira trying to keep it out, but unfortunately goes out for another corner, this time on the left side. Sorry, not Rani Khedira, Livian Bucu, who's actually a number 9, but he's playing like a defender here, having to defend against this Bayern Munich attack. But so far, Union Berlin able to withstand the pressure of Bayern Munich as we head into about we're coming up to 20 minutes mark. It's gone by quite quickly, Buba, hasn't it?
Right, we've come to about 20 minutes as Bayern are taking that flank on the right-hand side.
Gets punched out by Frederick Runnau quite spectacularly. It's almost quarter of the way up the pitch and now gets moved up field. And Bayern have to be careful here because they could get caught out. But luckily for them, it's Goretzka able to catch the ball and able to move it forward to Serge Gnabry.
And quickly, as we go into 20 minutes of today's match day, a quick information across the Bundesliga scorelines there. Wolfsburg against Werder Bremen, that game is still 0-0. Cologne, they've conceded a goal. Now Borussia Mönchengladbach have equalized there 2-2. And Borussia Dortmund are also playing against SV Hamburg in that game. No, that game is the late kickoff for today.
That's the late kickoff. And of course, just so that we know who scored all the goals in that game, Kastrop scored the first, whereby Borussia Mönchengladbach took the lead. Then El Mala and Aceh replied for Cologne to make it 2-1 for Cologne. And now Per Zander has scored to make it 2-2 in that match. As we watch Union Berlin go on the attack, but it comes 2-0 as Upamecano is able to defend and get it across to his counterparts there. Josip Stanisic on the right back position.
Right, Josip Stanisic. Bayern are slowly building up there. Kimmich to Olise. Olise looking across, finding Konrad Laimer. Laimer trying to beat the Union defense, but played across on the left-hand side to Serge Gnabry, who went on, took a shot, but right past the post. Serge Gnabry with that particular...
Well, with Serge Gnabry coming here, cutting in, he does like to do this, moving onto his right side, but the finish was not there. It was a good, powerful shot, but missing the goal, missing in the end by about 2 meters and not troubling keeper Frederick Runnau. Of course, we've seen Serge Gnabry with all sorts of hairstyles across his career, but now I think he's settled on the locks with the bandana, hasn't he?
Right, he settled down with that. He's known to be the fashion icon at Bayern, and one time as well, he got punished for leaving the Bayern camp late at night because he wanted to go to the Paris fashion show, and he went there in his different style, but he forgot that there are cameras there.
Oh dear.
And so they saw him and he got punished for that.
Ooh, dangerous.
Oh no, okay, it's not a penalty.
Almost.
But Union, and this is the time we've got to be careful. Bayern are known to be very poor when it comes to set pieces. Union are known to be very good when it comes to set pieces, and an Union player has been fouled right on the 18-yard box there.
Well, actually, it's Rani Khedira who goes down under a challenge from, I believe it was Leon Goretzka who made the tackle, but it was literally half a meter in front of the box. Now, it'll be very interesting to see who steps up to take this, because in a promising position, my money is on the left-footed Christopher Trimmel, who has got a very powerful shot. But will they turn to someone else, Buba?
Yeah, will they? As we see, Sami Khedira, the big brother of Rani Khedira. Rani Khedira, by the way, has decided to play not for Germany because he's not been called up, and now he's going to play for, I think,
Tunisia.
Tunisia, right.
So it could also be Derek Kern with a left-footed drive here. Let's have a look. As they line up, the wall is small. It's very close. He takes the shot. Oh, and it doesn't beat the wall. I think
it deflected on the wall there, and now we have a corner kick, also being taken by Derek Kern.
Yeah, the player who taking that one to the face was actually Stanisic. No, it wasn't actually. It was Goretzka rather. Perhaps a bit lucky that it didn't hit him a bit low. He almost hit his shoulder, but luckily not his arm. Otherwise, he would have.
Yeah, the hand was very close to the ball. He really tucked it in, so no way there for Union to call for a handball.
First corner of the match for Union Berlin, and Soki is the one taking it, knocks it in. It's a good one, but it's headed out, and Leopold Querfeld gets the ball, plays it all the way back to Frederick Renault. As the ball is pushed back all the way into the Bayern defensive zone. Oh no, a deflection has almost brought it back, but Jan Urbich is able to clean things up and Bayern take control. Just a reminder to all of our listeners, in case you're not listening on our social media channels or following this match there, you can also catch it on our partner stations across the African continent, be that Ray Power FM in Nigeria, or our channels or our partner stations across Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, and of course West Africa. Buba, big shout out for them.
Right, big shout out to all of you guys there, especially to our fans in Kampala, Uganda, on UBC Radio. Join us on YouTube, DW Africa, and tell us what you think about this game. We are live there broadcasting this game for you, and we'll be happy to read any of your comments or shout outs.
Now, of course, there are some Ghanaian Germans playing in this match, particularly for Union Berlin, Stanley and Soki, and on the bench, Ilyas Ansah, who also plays, is German, but also plays, has got Ghanaian heritage, as well as Derek Kern, who we've already talked about a few times in this match with his strong left-footed shot. Now, Buba, looking across the Bundesliga, we have had another goal. This one coming from Bayer Leverkusen against Heidenheim.
Oh, yeah.
So that one brings us up to a 1-0 lead for them, and it was Tillman scoring there for Leverkusen. Now, Bayern Munich on the attack again. Can they unlock this stubborn Union Berlin defense? Comes across here to Upamecano. Min Jae Kim, very far up for a centre-back here, but he plays it up across, comes all the way back to Dayot Upamecano. They try to move from left to right. Olise, who's had quite a bit of joy in trying to attack, but again he's pushed out. Every single Union player is defending, and a cross ends up in the hands of Frederick Renault, who hasn't really been troubled, has he?
He has not really been troubled that much. We just saw Joshua Kimmich taking the shot there, looking for Goretzka, who tried to beat the Union defense, but Renault said no. He trapped the ball right before Goretzka could get it.
Looking across for Bayern Munich, of course, they also have one of their biggest problems of being one of the most successful teams in the Bundesliga is that they have to play a lot of matches, and that means the Champions League, it means the Bundesliga, and also the DFB Pokal. And the DFB Pokal, Buba, is not too far away. In fact, it's next month, and they will be playing Bayer Leverkusen in that in the semi-final of that.
But one thing I'm not so very scared for Bayern is that they have a really good rotating players to rotate with. The only thing is that if they continue to have such injuries, it might be really devastating for them in the end. Let's just hope for Bayern that Alphonso Davies, Jamal Musiala, and even Luis Diaz and all of those guys recover and have to get some rest. And even their goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer, who's also been injured for quite a while. Bayern currently have troubles with goalkeepers, and we see Oh, Bayern on the offensive there, trying to play from the right-hand side, but Konrad Laimer tried to take a shot, a flank, but the Union defense cleared it off. Bayern again on the offensive on the right-hand side. Leonard Karl checks, turns, look into but the Union defense are really, really good right now. They're not giving any chance to Bayern to go through. As they are on the offensive now, is this a 1v1? Nope.
Nope. Nothing going there. Jan Urbich is quick out of the box and able to play to one of his midfielders. And again, Bayern Munich come up on the attack here. Josip Stanisic, number 44, playing for Bayern Munich on the right-back position. But he looks like he appears just about anywhere on the pitch here, doesn't he, Buba?
It does look like that. And as we see, Olise trying to dribble past the Union defense, but the ball slipped away from his feet. And this has actually happened as well with Leonard Karl in the past, and Kompany had to come out in his defense saying, well, the attackers are allowed to make mistakes, not the defenders.
And especially not if you're a goalkeeper, because then it's most obvious. I guess.
Right.
It's the unfortunate part of being the only person in your position on a football field.
I know, because I play not a professional football, not even amateur, just hobby football. And as a defender, as a left back, I know what it is to make a mistake. If you do make a mistake,
there's no way to hide, is there?
Your team is going to suffer for it.
Oh, so, what a good pass. It's up here to Stanisic on the left position. Gets across to Karl.
Oh!
My goodness, Leonard Karl rattles the woodwork with a shot that probably should have gone in and unfortunately wouldn't have counted. As it turns out, the referee has just blown for offside.
It was an offside there, but Leonard Karl took a shot. What a nice shot there, but actually deflected on the right post.
Well, it was a very pretty play, but I think it was offside from the start here.
This was Stanisic?
Stanisic to Karl, Stanisic I think was offside in the first place, but Karl does everything right except find the goal. But quite soon after, the referee raised his flag to say it was an offside position. But Buba, this is the kind of thing we might actually see Bayern actually score. Making very quick passes to try and break over that stubborn Union defense, right?
Right, and usually this is how it is. Bayern at the moment, they're playing a very careful football. Of course, they know how to press high, intensive football, and they're not playing that right now. As we see Olise, Olise has been pushed there, and now he's calling, but it's actually outside the 18-yard box. So yes, there's a yellow card for Union Berlin player there, but
Querfeld, who has been booked,
Leopold Querfeld has been booked there for pushing Olise outside of the 18-yard box on the right-hand side.
Well, Querfeld had to get across there. I think he didn't have any choice but to do that because Olise was away. And even though Olise lands in the box, a foul was committed well outside. But Querfeld again. Now we have both centre-backs of both teams. Or rather a centre-back of each team in the referee's book, which is not ideal, to be honest. Less so if you're a Union Berlin player. But Frederick Renault is looking across to try and sort out his wall. Just a two-man wall, surprisingly, here for Union Berlin, as Olise and Joshua Kimmich size this up. Pretty much everybody is in the box right now, except Harry Kane is just outside. What are we going to see now? It's going to be Olise. Yes, it is, but it comes to no avail. Headed well high and out. Picked up by Serge Gnabry on the left-hand side position, but he somehow gets the ball to Dayot Upamecano. Min-Jae Kim gets it, plays it across. They play it all the way to the right-wing side. Stanisic knocks it across here. Olise, who's been tormenting the poor defenders of Union Berlin. Upamecano gets it, lets it run through. Konrad Laimer looks to take a shot, but finds no way through. He plays it right back to Serge Gnabry, who again makes a cross, but it doesn't go anywhere. And finally, Union Berlin able to knock it out. Wow, Buba.
Wow, what an intensive attack there by Bayern, but also a really good defending by Union Berlin. And actually, Union Berlin, they can afford to be a bit, they can afford to play intensive football today, because when you look at their bench, it's quite good. I mean, I'm surprised to see even Tom Rother, Alex Karl all sitting there, and even Juranovic, Josip Juranovic, and Diego Leiter. These are all really experienced players for Union Berlin sitting on the bench. If you compare the Union's bench to Bayern's bench, I would say Union does have a stronger bench there, so they could afford to play a really intensive football and then do some changes later.
Certainly, and the match is now we are already 30 minutes into the game. It's been an intriguing contest, not too much goal-mouth action, but lots of intriguing things as a neutral fan here as we watch Serge Gnabry pull some fancy footwork, but pay for it by falling right outside the box in a position which is, again, kind of dangerous for him. But I believe it was Kemline there who had to make the foul to stop him going through. Now, shot from the left-hand side is going to be taken by the right-footed Joshua Kimmich. Harry Kane in the box. Again, comes in, and it's punched away with some authority by Renault. Almost all the way to the halfway line, in fact. And Bayern pick up the ball and start building up again. So, Bubba, there was a lot of consternation yesterday when England's preliminary World Cup squad was announced, the 35-man squad. Biggest shock for you in that?
It is a bigger shock because Real Madrid's left back didn't make that list.
Trent Alexander-Arnold
is the biggest shock in that particular one. And Jared Bowen there also didn't make it. But, I mean, that is not really a big shock compared to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was left out of that 35-man squad. Maybe things might change because that list has to be reduced to 25 man. So probably up to then, Thomas Tuchel, the coach of England, might be strayed away from, might be pushed into calling Trent.
Well, I bring that up because, of course, there are quite a few links between the England squad and this Bayern Munich team. Thomas Tuchel, for one, used to be the coach of Bayern Munich, and of course talismanic Harry Kane, possibly the first person on the list of the English national team. So there are certainly links between Bayern Munich and that English team. And I guess it'll be quite interesting to see if England can finally make something of a World Cup.
It does look like the squad they have at the moment does have a depth, and I see them going far with that particular squad there. But Thomas Tuchel is a controversial coach. You can like him, you cannot like him. Whatever you have, you can have your opinion, but he's a very divisive man because of his style of play and that sort of stuff. Nonetheless, he's a good coach.
Certainly a good coach. Has also coached, of course, Chelsea, PSG, Bayern Munich. In fact, he was actually the coach of Bayern Munich when they actually didn't win the Bundesliga and lost it out to Bayer Leverkusen the first season with Harry Kane. But that doesn't mean that he is, that doesn't reflect much on his career as a manager. He also won the Champions League, remember, with Chelsea.
That's right. And when he took over Chelsea, it was a struggling team. He did actually get
hard to believe that.
Yeah,
actually.
It was out of nowhere. I was very surprised to see Chelsea coming from nowhere and winning the Champions League
against Manchester City.
Yeah, right.
True. Anyway, back onto this match as Bayern line up again for the attack. They must be getting tired almost of constantly trying to attack and unable to break down this stubborn defense here. And they are playing really well. I have to say, even the strikers, Levan Burko and Tim Skarka, doing their best to try and stop Bayern from building up the play. Serge Gnabry now has it on the left-back position. Looks to get it to Lima, who knocks it forward, but it doesn't even go out for a corner. Really good defending there. But it ends up as a throw-in, and Joshua Kimmich plays it all the way back out. Been a bit of a frustrating situation for Bayern at this stage, I'd say, Buba.
I would say that. They're pressing really hard, but it's not really going through. But what do you expect from a team that is known to have a really strong defense? It's going to be hard today for Bayern to actually beat this defense, this Union defense.
So remember, Bayern didn't actually win last week out. They played quite an entertaining 1-1 draw against Bayer Leverkusen. That was a game that, of course, was always, thought to be we kind of thought would be a good game. Luis Diaz, kind of the star and the villain of that one because he did score, but also was sent off later in the game. And Nicholas Jackson also red carded, so that explains why those two are not in the or not even on the bench because they were suspended. Actually, Bayern Munich ending up with only 9 players on the pitch in that game and drawing with Leverkusen.
That was quite an interesting match there. Bayern actually celebrated after picking up that 1 point because they came really close to losing that particular game against Bayer Leverkusen. Speaking of Bayer Leverkusen, they've actually scored another goal against Heidenheim. A goal scored there by Patrick Schick, and Heidenheim seem to be going under this particular season. Their coach Thomas Frank has already said, Frank Schmidt has already said that they should not deceive anyone. They deserve to go under to get themselves up together again. Harry Kane take a free kick
from outside, but it was going nowhere near the goal. Actually, kind of a disappointing effort from that talismanic English striker. Goes well up over the wall and well out of play. I think even if there was another goal on top of the goal, it would not have gone in.
That's right. That was not a really good free kick there by Harry Kane.
Doesn't matter to all those Union Berlin fans who are celebrating every single minute their team is able to keep out the Bavarians. And here they are in really full voice, it has to be said, in the Südkurve of the Allianz Arena. Südkurve meaning the southern corner of this, which is traditionally where the away fans go. But here, Bayern Munich on the counter-attack. Olise galloping up the right-wing side here. But it's with him is Stanisic, who passes it across. Now Olise has it. He cuts into the middle and he takes a shot. Really good save by Renault. Knocks it out. But unfortunately not far enough. It comes back to Bayern and they put in another pass. Now comes to Serge Gnabry, who tries to find a way through, unable to. But nobody can seem to get the ball out of play.
He couldn't play a goal.
Oh my goodness.
What a dramatic mistake there by Union's defense. And it was Umsoki who tried to clear that ball. But instead of clearing it out, he put it right in front of Harry Kane.
The last person you want to give the ball to, yeah.
Struggle with Renault there. Tried to aim for the post, but the ball just jottled across the post and away from the back of the net.
So actually, Harry Kane can't believe he missed it. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, the flag was raised. I don't know at what point it was raised for the offside position, but here Frederick Renault lucky that the shot that he's blocked but gave a juicy rebound to was not picked up by one of the Bayern strikers, and we remain at 0-0 here.
That's right. Bayern are struggling a little bit. I think at this particular stage they were hoping to have already scored a goal. So far that hasn't happened. At the same time, it's Wolfsburg, Werder Bremen. Nothing has happened there so far. Like Bayer Leverkusen lead Heidenheim 2-0, and FC Cologne are drawing with Borussia Mönchengladbach 2-2.
Right, looking at this game already, just to give you an idea of the kind of match it's been, there have been 6 shots off target by Bayern Munich and only 2 shots on target. It doesn't quite describe just how much they've dominated this game, but also sort of describes how inefficient they've been in terms of actually getting the ball into dangerous areas. That doesn't mean that's not to take anything away from the really good work of Union Berlin as they try to hold back the Bavarians here.
That's right. Dayati Pamecano playing with the back there and looking for Joshua Kimmich. Kimmich trying to look for Pavlovic. Stanisic played all the way to the right-hand side to Olise. Bayern are struggling a bit on the right-hand side. They're trying to beat the Union defense, but it is not easy. Now they've done it. Could that be a goal?
Oh my goodness.
It came really close for Leon Goretzka, who didn't convert that opportunity.
Stanisic coming across and making a really good cross across the right-hand side, but Leon Goretzka can hardly believe the fact that he missed this. It was an open goal. He went almost with the wrong foot there, didn't he, Buba? And unable to make the most of it. And neither can Serge Gnabry, just standing at the side of the goalpost in disbelief. It's still 0-0.
This is actually a massive opportunity. It's one of the only few times on this particular game where Bayern have succeeded in breaking the defense of Union Berlin, but they failed to convert the opportunity into a goal, as we are having a goalless game here, but quite an interesting one. Union are sitting deep, Bayern are pressing hard, but have not been able to convert their opportunities.
And of course, Bayern are not used to not scoring, particularly at home. Certainly in the Allianz Arena, they are known for scoring lots and lots of goals.
Bayern are actually quite difficult to beat at home, and they are known to be quite stubborn. Could that be a goal for Bayern Munich? Olise!
Certainly,
Finally!
as you're saying, they're battling to score. They find a way, and it's none other than Michael Olise, who has been dangerous all game long, but has been unable to convert until this very moment. He cuts in from the right-hand side onto his strong left foot and rifles an absolute zinger of a shot past the goalkeeper, Runo. Wow, Buba, look at this shot here.
Indeed, Michael Olise played there, wasn't on offside, get the ball from the center circle, look on the right-hand side, the usual, takes it, checks, and push it in front of him and hammer the ball with his left foot there onto the far side of the post, defeating Friedrich Rene and converting the opportunities. Bayern are leading 1-0 against Union Berlin.
And Nsocki almost had him there, just unable to clear the ball. He actually got a foot onto the ball, but unable to take control. And now Union Berlin are in a world of trouble trying to actually get a point out of this. It's now not much. We only have about a minute or so just before half-time now, before the halftime whistle goes. So really bad timing if you're an Union Berlin fan to see your team go down. They would have loved to.
I wouldn't say that. Looking at the Union bench, I would say they might really push hard. But to be honest, this strategy right from the beginning, I know for me it was flawed, because if you come in into a game to just sit deep, it's a bit difficult.
Well, it might work, but eventually if you give Bayern enough chances, they do have a way of scoring and making you pay for it, and they have done now. It's 1-0 for Bayern Munich against Union Berlin, as, again, Bayern Munich press forward. I think that'll have settled quite a few nerves on the Bayern Munich bench as well as on the pitch, but I wouldn't say they were necessarily concerned in the first place, but it makes it a bit easier. The halftime talks that Vincent Kompany had in mind probably needs a bit of a re-scripting now, don't you think?
Indeed. For me, I just fear that Bayern, they have this thing, usually they have this level of confidence that once they've scored a goal, they just go into administrative mode and, just doing the usual things that they're supposed to do, not really creating chances or not looking into playing into the spaces. Stefan Baumgart at the back there, I think he is not on the touchline.
No, he is still, Stefan Baumgartner is patrolling the touchline there. I think he's probably a bit disappointed, because I think he would have been quite happy with his team's effort so far. As we see, just 1 minute of added time to be played here. Looking across the Bundesliga, Buba, how are we doing?
Well, apart from Bayern scoring this particular goal from Michael Olise, Werder Bremen against Wolfsburg, that game is still 0-0. Heidenheim are still losing to Bayer Leverkusen 0-2, and Cologne are drawing against Borussia Mönchengladbach 2-2. So that's how we stand as we head into this halftime break of match day 27 across the Bundesliga.
Olise coming across here now again. It's Stanisic looking dangerous on the right-hand side. It comes to Leonard Karl, knocks it forward. Ball comes out.
It's another goal!
And it's another goal.
Serge Gnabry mixing it there for Bayern Munich. A flank there, another opportunity converted. A really big mistake, I think, by Union Berlin. They're being punished for making their mistakes there.
Oh my goodness, this ball gets knocked in high, and Stefan Baumgartner crosses his arms in frustration. His team had done so well for 44 minutes, and now they find themselves 2-0 down at the Allianz Arena, position no team really ever wants to be in. But here we are. The ball comes in from Leonard Karl. Runo makes a hash of it, comes out to Serge Gnabry, who does a half volley, knocking it past 3 defenders, and it ends up in the back of the goal. And with that, we are 2-0. Actually, Runo completely misses the ball.
I think it is a mistake there by Runo. Runo caused that particular. He wanted to punch it out, but failed to do so.
My goodness. Well, you know, if you put enough balls into the box like this, you'll see that eventually either the defense or the goalkeeper makes a mistake. And with that, the referee has in fact blown the halftime whistle. And that means a break for us here in the studio, but not for you, because we also have a great halftime show lined up. We'll be chatting about the CAF decision to award the AFCON to Morocco instead of Senegal, and having a look at the midweek results in Europe for the German team. So don't go away. We'll be back soon enough, and we'll see you there.
Bundesliga Radio, live.
Welcome to the Bundesliga halftime show, where it's time to assess the damage from the midweek fixtures in Europe, where there was plenty of drama, but even more heartbreak for Germany's representatives in the Europa League, Europa Conference League, and of course, the Champions League. Let's start off with the Champions League, where Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, and Borussia Dortmund actually all qualified for the knockout stages. But Dortmund gave up a commanding first leg lead to Atalanta and lost. Then Leverkusen ran Arsenal close, only to lose 3-1 on aggregate in the round of 16. That leaves only Bayern Munich, who destroyed Atalanta 10-2 on aggregate. But that's it. Bayern Munich is the lone German representative in the last stages of the Champions League. At the business end of the tournament now, they will face Real Madrid in what should be a matchup for the ages. And certainly Bayern coach Vincent Kompany is up for it.
It's a fantastic fixture, and for the club it's great, for the players it's great, and I think for the neutral football fans as well.
His counterpart Alvaro Arbeloa is also excited at the prospect of facing Bayern Munich, but is wary of the challenge that the German giants present.
They are one of the best informed teams in Europe, given how they are playing, given the standard they are setting in both the league and the Champions League. And it's going to be just as difficult as this tie, especially knowing that we also have the return leg in Munich. So, well, let's focus first on Atletico Madrid, then on Mallorca, and when Bayern come along, we'll have the same mindset we've approached this tie with.
Now, onto the Europa League, where Freiburg is the only German team to qualify for the quarterfinals after thrashing Belgian side Genk, and Stuttgart were knocked out by FC Porto. Meanwhile, in the Europa Conference League, Mainz are to play Strasbourg in the quarterfinals after beating Czech side Sigma in the round of 16. However, by far the biggest story in the football world, and I do mean the biggest story, is undoubtedly the announcement of the Confederation of African Football, or CAF, that it was stripping the 2025 AFCON title from Senegal and instead awarding Morocco a 3-0 victory. Just a reminder to those who thought that this saga was done and dusted, well, it turns out it isn't. So just to recap, let's head back to the AFCON final, which took place in Morocco between Senegal and Morocco. Now, actually, Senegal won that fixture 1-0, which was very controversial. In the dying moments of the game, Morocco was given a penalty, which incensed Senegal's coaching staff and players. Coach Pape Cissé called his players off the pitch, who only returned to the field of play 15 minutes later after much pleading and appeals from captain Sadio Mane. But Morocco still had a penalty. Up stepped Brahim Diaz, who then missed it before Senegal went on to score in the extra time period and win their second AFCON title. The game was done and dusted, controversy over, right? Well, it turns out it wasn't. In Senegal, there was disbelief when CAF announced this week that they were stripping the Teranga Lions of their African crown and handing it over to Morocco instead.
In fact, the best team won the tournament. So I don't think Morocco, proud as it may be, is really going to go and celebrate this. so-called title that was taken through grinding things out and all that.
It wasn't the Senegalese who tried a Panenka and missed that penalty by Brahim Diaz at AFCON. He missed the penalty. We played and we won. And the whole world is witnessing and knows that it's Senegal who deserve the trophy.
We as Senegalese are African champions. On paper, Morocco can be African champions. But in future, I hope they will say how they got that trophy. Whether the Court of Arbitration for Sport delivers justice or not, Africa has been humiliated. If you have to go to CAS in order to win a trophy, it's pitiful. That, whatever anyone may say, is very pitiful. But we, as Senegalese, are proud of ourselves.
Now, the news that Morocco would be declared the winners of the AFCON 2025 was greeted more positively in Morocco. But to some residents of Casablanca, it was no less of a shock.
Honestly, it was news that was both a shock and a joy at the same time. But we focused on the good news rather than what hurt us after the complaints on the day of the final. Thankfully, CAF was fair to us, and I hope the trophy will be given to us after the Senegalese team tried to appeal it to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Hopefully, it will be confirmed that we are the ones who will win the Africa Cup, God willing.
And while the reactions from the fans has been that of surprise, incredulity, or simple disbelief, or even annoyance, CAF's decision to overturn the result of its showpiece event spells trouble for its credibility. Sports lawyer Adedeji Ajoje Israel explains how CAF reached their decision.
Morocco had first filed an action with the CAF disciplinary committee, against the actions of Senegal walking out of the pitch during the match. But the disciplinary committee kicked out the action, and Morocco appealed to an appeal board. The appeal board of CAF consists of 9 members, 2 of which are justices. So they reviewed the situation and they made a decision based on Articles 82 and 84 of the African Cup of Nations regulations. So for those that do not know, Article 84 says that if a team violates Article 82, they would be deemed to have forfeited the match, and the reward, of course, the consequence of a forfeit is a 3-0 loss, no matter the result of the match. But what Article 82 says is that any team that leaves the grounds of the match, the grounds of the pitch, during the match without the say-so of the referee is deemed to have abandoned the match. Now, the question would be, did Senegal leave the grounds of the match? Did they leave? Because for all intents and purposes, now they left the pitch quite all right. Some of their players were still on the pitch. They left the pitch. But the appeal board says that Senegal left the grounds of the match. And as a result, they are deemed to have forfeited the match. And this is really unprecedented. After Senegal walked out of the match, they came back in and Morocco played the match with them. They could have asked for a forfeiture at that point, but they didn't. So in my legal opinion, they forfeited the right, they waived their right to that forfeiture when they came back to play the match. So that is number one. Then on the second hand, Senegal can argue for the defense of proportionality. If CAF is punishing Senegal for leaving the pitch or stopping the match, because that's what I would call it, they didn't leave the pitch. If that is done, then what will be done to a team that actually leaves the match and abandons the match completely? Are you putting both offenses on the same scale? So proportionality is another defense.
Patrice Motsepe, who is the president of CAF, has also come under intense criticism amid accusations by Senegalese officials that CAF is corrupt and succumbed to Moroccan pressure.
I previously expressed my extreme disappointment with the incidences that took place at the final match. And the important thing of what happened on that final match is it undermines the good work that CAF has done over many, many years to ensure that that there's integrity, that there's respect, that there's ethics, that there's governance, as well as credibility of the results of our football matches. The occurrences, those incidences at the final match of the AFCON Morocco exposes. Another important matter that these incidences at the final match brought to the fore is the independence and the respect of our judicial bodies. We, in choosing the members of our judicial bodies, we followed a different path, different from what had been the case before. We invited each member association and we invited every zone, the 6 regional areas or the 6 zones in CAF, to give us names of respected judges and respected lawyers, because it is important that the decisions of our disciplinary board, the CAF disciplinary board, and the decisions of the CAF appeals board is viewed with the respect and integrity that's very important to us. So if you look at the composition of those bodies, they reflect some of the most respected lawyers and judges on the continent. And but we will still have to deal with this, with the perceptions and the concerns about the integrity. It's an ongoing issue.
However, he explained that he still believed in the integrity of the continental organization and in its processes.
And I'm told that that Senegal is going to appeal, which is very important. Every one of the 54 nations in Africa have a right to pursue their appeals and their advance interests, not only at the highest level in Africa, in CAF, but also the highest body, which is the CAS. And we will adhere and respect the decision that's taken at the highest level. A critical factor is that not a single country in Africa will be treated in a manner that is more preferential or more advantageous or more favorable than any other country on the African continent.
However, sports lawyer Adediji Ajoje Israel explains that the impact of this saga could be very far-reaching and beyond CAF's control.
It also is giving the vibe that if a team loses a match, because this is very, very important. I say this as a proud Nigerian and as a proud African. Africa started to play football. The football is still developing in Africa, so it has its teething problems, as a matter of fact. So if football is still developing in Africa, that means every other aspect of football is still developing: the coaching, the playing, the officiating. So there are decisions that we don't see at world level that we see in African football. So as a result, we are going to see a lot of officiating errors in African football. So is CAF now saying that as a result of such officiating errors, the losing party can institute an action with the CAF disciplinary committee or with the CAF appeals board to overturn the result of the match 2 months after the match has ended?
Well, one thing's definitely for sure. The saga is not over, and probably there are many more twists and turns before the end of this comes to light. But now let's head back to the Bundesliga and all the action at the Allianz Arena to catch the second half of Bayern Munich versus Union Berlin.
Bundesliga Radio, live.
Well, we're back in the Allianz Arena, and it's a changed match, and it's a changed complexion of the game. It's now 2-0 Bayern Munich coming into the second half. Now, Buba, that was a halftime show that I narrated there to also talk a bit about that massive decision that we have also, covered as well on DW Africa about Senegal and Morocco's AFCON final. Thoughts now after hearing that?
That particular decision by CAF sent shockwaves across not just the African continent, but also across the world. a lot of people were not happy. I think even Moroccan fans were not happy about this. I spoke to a Moroccan who said that this is not their cup, this is not their win, this is CAF's win. They don't want it. It is that sort of decision what the fans are saying. But for political decision, I think CAF made this for something to happen. Football in the African continent has grown a lot, but there is still more room for improvement, in my opinion.
Well, I think that is definitely true. But I think sort of a big shock for everybody is that, once you've had a final and it's been sort of decided and the final whistle has blown, no matter how controversial it is, that's it. I don't recall any event like with the magnitude of a final like this that has been overturned in this way.
It's really shocking. It's really, really shocking. And as you said, it's unprecedented. That has never been done before, and CAF made that decision. It is their decision. I don't support it.
Yeah, of course, it's still up for appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So that saga definitely is not over. Of course, you'll hear more about it from us here at DW Africa. I don't think it's the end of it, to be dead honest. So we will keep you informed. Meanwhile, we've got a great match on our hands here. Bayern Munich versus Union Berlin. Kickoff for Bayern. They knock the ball back into play. Let's see. There have been some changes in the colors of Union Berlin. Tom Rothe coming onto the pitch as well as Andre Ilic. So a defender and a striker coming onto the pitch for Tim Skarke, who, to be honest, wasn't very noticeable on the pitch, and Stanley Nsoki also coming off. I'm surprised Stanley Nsoki is coming off. Although he was responsible for one of the most dangerous moves by Union Berlin, but he was also arguably responsible for letting Michael Olise slip by him to score the opener. Buba, what else do you see changed here?
I also think that Nsoki hasn't been able to keep Michael Olise at bay. Probably it's the reason why Union Berlin had to make that change because guarding Michael Olise, it's not an easy job. It takes an experienced player to do, and maybe Nsoki needs to gather some of that experience to be able to do that. But let's see what Tom Rothe can bring in for Union Berlin, and also Andre Ilic.
Yeah, certainly they need to go for a goal here, do Union Berlin, because of course they are losing. It's not an ideal place to be when you're playing against Bayern Munich, but also they have 45 minutes to try and get something out of this game. There's no point of just sitting back and doing damage limitation at this point in time. Just looking across the Bundesliga as such right now, there are certainly other scores just to keep everybody aware of. Cologne drawing against Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bayer Leverkusen winning 2-0 against Heidenheim, Wolfsburg and Werder Bremen, that's still tied at 0-0 as Union Berlin go on the attack here.
Opportunity for Union Berlin. Could they convert this one into the 18-yard box, but lost possession to Stanisic. Stanisic played back to Upamecano. Upamecano looked out for Leonard Calder, but conceded the ball to Union Berlin. Union Berlin are looking forward to break through that Bayern defense. They are playing all the way back to the center circle to their defender. It doesn't look like Union would be able to make a breakthrough here. And then they go back into their number 9 on the left-hand side, try to beat Upamecano. A little bit of a 1v1 there between Upamecano and Burcu. Burcu and Upamecano having a 1v1 duel there, but Upamecano ended up winning that one.
Yeah, certainly a big challenge for Union Berlin is to try and get something out of this. I think perhaps there's a perception that this Bayern defense is hard, but perhaps a bit brittle. There's not all that much experience there aside from Dayot Upamecano, although Min Jae Kim has actually played surprisingly well, I think, in his as deputizing there in the centre-back position, hasn't he, Buba?
He has. He's been on the bench for quite a while, but Bayern could convert that one, and it's a goal! Harry Kane got the ball, checks and turn, and defeated the Union Berlin defense and hammered the ball at the back of the net. Bayern Munich are leading 3-0
wow,
with
Buba,
a goal by Harry Kane.
My absolute silence there was because I was dumbstruck for a split second there. I could not believe that ball had actually gone into the net and come out so quickly. The ball comes from Serge Gnabry and finds Harry Kane. Harry Kane takes a snapshot. It hits something in the back and it bounces straight out of the goal. It didn't look like, I thought he missed it, actually. But the reaction from Frederic Rodno tells a different story. And Harry Kane, with less space than in a public telephone box, is able to beat two defenders and score a great goal.
How can you pull off such a goal within that very tight space? The space is so tight, but Harry Kane managed to do that in defeating Union Berlin. It is an interesting one there.
He draws applause from his manager, Vincent Kompany, and perhaps just resignation from the defense of Union Berlin as they now find themselves in a 3-0 hole there. And wow, Harry Kane, he's actually had a quiet game so far. He's not had the ball a lot, but when he does get it, he doesn't need much to...
That's right. And one player that has really surprised me under Vincent Kompany, Dayot Upamecano. You know, he used to be very prone to mistakes in the back there. But since he's now being coached under Vincent Kompany, I think something else has changed there. There is some confidence that Kompany has given him, and now he's not prone to that sort of mistakes anymore. He's quite confident when he plays at the center back there.
Yeah, certainly. And just for those of us who have lost count how many goals Harry Kane has already scored, that was goal number 31. Can you believe it? He's not even played 31 games in the Bundesliga. I mean, the guy is a goal-scoring machine.
He's on course to beat the record of Polish striker Robert Lewandowski at Bayern for, I think, 42 goals in a season. And Harry Kane is getting there. He's still got about 6 more games to go in this season. Let's see if he will be able to beat that record by Lewandowski.
Another thing to keep in mind is that Bayern Munich have now, scored 71 goals in the Bundesliga. That's an average of more than 2 goals a game in the 27 games they've played. So it is quite astonishing just how, just how prolific they have been. Harry Kane, of course, the English striker, hoping he'll be able to carry his form here at club level all the way through to international level with England and deliver something that all English fans, if they're really honest, really want to see, which is a World Cup victory.
Right. Union Berlin, they are also known to be a true fortress at their home, which is at the Alten Forsterei in Berlin. They held Bayern to draw, which was an intense match in which they were at the time the better side against Bayern. Bayern managed to equalize right at the dead end of that game. It was a particular interesting one there. Bayern survived and picking up a point at the Alten Forsterei, but Union Berlin, not an easy side. Today, though,
different story.
Bayern, their home ground at the Allianz Arena, not an easy side to play there.
Upamecano with a really good cross to Michael Olise, who Michael Olise perhaps could have done a bit better there. He heads it straight into the arms of Frederic Rodno, who I guess is probably happy just to not be picking the ball out of the net for a change.
Let's be honest, though. Olise is not known to be a player with 4 head balls, right?
No, certainly
so
not.
I don't think you should play head ball across to him.
Well, I would have been surprised to see what else he could have done there with either like a really high bicycle kick or something like that which would have been spectacular had it worked, but he opted for a header and it didn't work. Danger here as Leonard Carl moves it across against to Olise, who's on the right. Leonard Carl in the center of the box. It comes across. Wow!
A shot there, I think, from
Kimmich.
35 meters or 30 to 35 meters by Captain Joshua Kimmich towards the D, taking that shot over the post. It was a close call there.
Was a close call, as we see here the highlights for Bayern Munich. Goal from Olise, goal from Gnabry. Just look at this. I mean, this is the goal of the game, I think, here by Harry Kane.
Exactly.
Just 3 touches and it's in the net.
He actually slipped and fell down, but the shot had already been taken. No way Feliciano could come anywhere closer to that ball.
Just a reminder, we had so much excitement in the last few minutes of this game. All of our listeners across the African continent, be that on our social media pages here on Facebook. Oh, 1 second. We have another attack here coming. Harry Kane. It just goes wide. Actually, very far wide.
Very far wide. The ball deflected, I think, on Tom Rother. But it would have been another goal there by Harry Kane and Bayern Munich taking the lead. But now we have a corner kick, and this one is for Michael Olise, who will be taking it on Bayern's right.
And just as Bayern look like they're in the mood to score lots of goals, just a reminder to the listeners across the African continent, thank you so much for joining us as Olise knocks in the corner kick, which is kept out of play. Serge Gnabry gets on the end of that, and Bruno finally able to get his hands on it and hold it in. It's been breathless so far.
It is breathless. Also, that ball coming over from the head of Harry Kane, but Friedrich Schöne was there to catch it, pick it up off the air, and play it back to the defenders. Union playing on the right-hand side, trying to go through there, couldn't play back to Renault. Renault takes a shot towards the right-hand side again. I see they've been trying to play Bayern on Bayern's left, trying to go through Konrad Laimer, who's sometimes not being there that often. But Union not letting down. They're also looking for an opportunity, playing in the 18-yard box. Bochu and Bochu tried to go through that 18-yard box, but didn't succeed in beating Bayern's defense, and the ball played all the way back to Union's defense. Philipp Schöne played it back to on the right-hand side.
So the problem for Union Berlin, Buba, is that when they do get possession there, it's been difficult for them to maintain it in the same way that Bayern Munich have, and this is the issue. If you keep not having the ball or keep having to play so many long periods of the game without the ball, it's hard to make stuff happen unless you are super efficient, which they've not been so far. They've not registered a single shot on goal yet, have Union Berlin. So it's making things very difficult for them. Hopefully they can at least change that in the second half.
Hopefully indeed. Levan Bochu, the striker there for Union Berlin, didn't manage to make any difference so far. Bayern Munich with Harry Kane trying to take a shot, but Tom Rother was also there stopping him. So far, I think he is chasing Harry Kane on everywhere on the pitch. What an effort there.
I don't know about that. I think he's maybe chasing Harry Kane's shadow at this point. Harry Kane has smelt blood and is looking for another goal. In this second half alone, after having a quiet
I think he's
first half,
tasted blood already.
Yeah, true.
And obviously, he's going more for that.
And he's already had 3 good opportunities so far. So,
right.
Yeah.
Indeed. Another corner there by Bayern taken by Olise. Could that be a header in there or not? Headed out by Union's defense. But Konrad Laimer is there with Serge Gnabry looking for Harry Kane again.
No, it's not Harry Kane.
This is Leonard Carl. Indeed.
Well, Leonard Carl, I think, really should have done better here, to be honest. He had a free shot on goal, but he completely shanks the shot, and it ends up somehow in the arms of Renault, who was literally standing in front of him. So lucky break there for Union. Otherwise, a 4-0 score with just, just an hour played here would have really made this game set and match.
Speaking of goal, we have a goal in Heidenheim where they are hosting Bayer Leverkusen. Heidenheim have managed to put the scoreline to 2-1. Union Berlin also trying to get a goal here in the 18-yard box, playing on towards the right-hand side, but they can't get it through. Min Jae Kim being a very, very good defender today, almost always playing behind Ayoto Upamecano.
Here they come again, though, and it's quite a speculative shot there by Leopold Querfeld, who tries to rocket the ball from 40 meters out, but it comes out to the left wing side. Tom Rother knocks the ball in. Min Jae Kim able to header it out, and it finds Michael Olise in a defensive position here. Passes it out. But you see, look how calm they are when they get the ball to Bayern Munich. Ayoto Upamecano under no pressure whatsoever as he walks the ball all the way to their halfway line.
Right. They're mashing their way through the Union's defense there. And I guess after scoring 3 goals, they've got to take things down a little bit, go into some sort of an administrative mode. But this is Bayern. They're not going to do that. They're going to go for more goals as they play on the left-hand side there towards Serge Gnabry. Serge Gnabry playing back to to Goretzka. Goretzka looking for Joshua Kimmich in the center circle. Kimmich to Stanisic, Pavlovic. Pavlovic playing to Olise on the right-hand side. Bayern are pushing really hard. Oh, a beautiful play there by Olise to Stanisic again. And the ball deflected to a corner kick there for Bayern.
Bit of fancy footwork by Michael Olise, who is known for that. He does have a very fine set of feet. He finds the ball quickly to Leonard Karl, who from the corner tries to play a quick cross. It ends up going nowhere except out to the halfway line, where Jan Orbich comes actually right into the half. I mean,
on the other half of...
yeah, and it kind of explains just how dominating Bayern have here, that the goalkeeper has to come out into the opposing half to actually get any action whatsoever.
It's crazy. Bayern's entire defense, it's in Union's 18-yard box playing there. Orbich is left with no option but to play on the across the halfway line for Bayern there.
Well, Buba, you were saying earlier in the game, Vincent Kompany's idea of defending is really just attacking, actually, and that we're seeing.
Of course. I mean, instead of you sit deep and defend, why not attack and defend? And that's the sort of idea Bayern plays with. And I like how every player can be a pivot there, especially the right back and the left back, the roles that they play. And today we've seen Laima has been doing a beautiful play there. It's almost always with Serge Gnabry on the front there. The same thing with Josip Stanisic. As you see him, it's almost always like an attacking midfielder, but he's actually a right back playing with and behind Michael Olise on the right-hand side there.
Right, Bayern Munich now rigging the changes. They're bringing on some of their other players here. Rafael Guerrero coming on and Tom Bischoff as well. They're coming onto the pitch. Leonard Karl has been replaced, and so has Dayot Upamecano. To be fair, Dayot Upamecano hasn't had all that much to do, so I'm not really surprised that he's been taken off, perhaps also with a mind as to looking at the fixture list of what Bayern still need to go through. Upamecano is irreplaceable at this stage.
Indeed, and look, don't forget, Kai, he picked up a yellow card in the 3rd minute of the game, and so it does make sense to replace him right now, and also put in that rotating machine of Vincent Kompany into play. And we've also seen some changes there by Union Berlin. Kemline is out and is being replaced. We also have Livan Bochu is also out, and some of Union's bench are here. Tom Rodke is already there. Alex Kral is now in, and we also have Woo Young-jong also in. Yeah. I'm surprised Josip Stanisic, Juranovic is still on the bench. For me, he's actually a really, really good midfielder.
Yeah, certainly. Perhaps there's other reasons that we're not aware of. One of the players on the pitch now, Alex Kral, the Czech international, on the pitch here, coming across already straight into the action. Although referee blows now for a offside. Woo Young-jong is on the pitch. He's South Korean international, also on the pitch. Also quite a young player, but with some experience to be said. Probably will also be a feature of the Republic of South Korea's national team at the World Cup. You might see him there. It's an exciting thing for him. And I think it's going to be it's hard thing for you to because Union Berlin are in a tricky situation because they can't really chase the match. It's kind of gone. It's a 3-0 situation for them already.
It's just a matter of
do they decide to do damage limitation, or do they actually try and get things out of this?
I think this is exactly what they're doing right now, trying to not make it as bad as it could be, because this is Bayern, and they could score 10 goals and they're still very hungry.
True.
That's why you cannot let them go beyond this. So I guess Union Berlin are doing their best to make sure that it doesn't get worse.
Yeah, well, one of the games that has had a bit of a topsy-turvy situation there is the game between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Cologne, because Borussia Mönchengladbach have just scored again, and it's Kastrup, believe it or not. Jens Kastrup, who opened the scoring quite a long time ago, it feels like in this game, has now scored to make it 3-2 for Borussia Mönchengladbach. That game certainly has a lot more in it.
Oh yeah, Cologne fans might not be happy, and at the same time, my technician here, Stefan, also might not be happy. As Cologne are down, I see he's giving me the thumbs down for Cologne right now. Cologne, you gotta bring it up back on. You're gonna make a lot of people happy if you do that, because this is one of the very, very intense games along the Rhineland. Whenever Cologne plays against Borussia Mönchengladbach, Cologne might be happy to lose somewhere else, but not to any of the team in the Rhineland, especially not to Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Danger here as Bayern Munich attack here, and the ball goes out of play. Very, very close game over there between the right back of Danilo Duki doing his best to keep Serge Gnabry out of the game. But it ends up going in for yet another corner for Bayern Munich as they line up with, I think, about like 6-7 players. They're certainly not tired of scoring. And
They haven't.
This man in particular, not Harry Kane, no.
If you look at the changes, Kai, that Union have done so far, they've replaced all of their strikers with defenders.
Yeah, that's a defensive
It's quite
move.
telling, you know. It's really quite telling. Livan Bochu is out. Tim Skarke is also out. And they have 3 strikers on the bench: Oliver Burke, Elias Ansa, and Andre Ilic. No, Andre Ilic is there, but Ansa and Burke, they are still on the bench. I'm quite surprised this decision by Stefan Baumgart.
Yeah, Stefan Baumgart, of course, doing his... yeah, I don't know what you do as a coach in this situation, because you're really very much between a rock and a hard place, I guess.
To be honest, the entire Union's budget cannot buy one Bayern player. So this is David versus Goliath here.
It is a David versus Goliath thing. And, you know, there have been strange things happening in the Bundesliga, so let's not write them off just yet. As Bayern move up here for another attack with Josip Stanisic. Finds Olise, who runs into trouble, plays it back, has the ball again. Now Bayern Munich really knocking it about, not under real pressure here.
It's at this stage, though, Kai, that the Bayern fans also wake up their players, because whenever they go into this sleepy mode,
You said sleepy mode? What are you talking about?
Exactly. What was I talking about there? Serge Gnabry hammered that ball at the back of the net out of nowhere in an administrative mode. Bayern have scored again.
Yeah, Serge Gnabry was lurking at the top of the box here. The ball, it's actually kind of a broken play. More fancy footwork from Olise, who kind of does a ballet move and actually loses the ball, but somehow gets it back, takes a shot, comes out to Gnabry on the right position, and then absolutely rockets a right-footed drive through practically everyone and almost through the back of the net. No chance for Renault, who lies down in absolute defeat, because shame he was not stopping that.
Absolutely not stopping that. Stefan Baumgart head down, Bayern Munich head up. Serge Gnabry mixing it in the T style, as you said. That nice ballet move there by Olise. Michael Olise created an opportunity that Bayern happily converted, making it 4-0.
Yeah, here as danger here as Union Berlin do have a slight opening for attack, but it was gonna go for an offside call there. But Buba Jallo, not trying to make assumptions here, but I do get the impression from watching Olise for the last few minutes that he may have been watching a lot of the Winter Olympics, particularly the figure skating, because I don't know where else he gets those really slick skating moves from, twists and turns. It's almost like watching art on a football field.
Indeed, it is artsy the way he plays football. It's really admirable to watch Olise play, especially on the right-hand side there. It's not an easy to play against a player of his caliber.
Of course, Bayern Munich not quite done yet. You'd think that they were going to go into, as you referred to it, administrative mode, but they, haven't for a number of reasons. I don't think that... I'm not too sure what Kompany said at halftime, but I don't think it was, okay, guys, let's manage the game. I think he said, come here, let's get some... We don't have enough goals this season. Let's get some more.
Indeed. More goals mean more caps to the feather of Coach Vincent Kompany, and also more caps to the feather of the Bayern stars, including Harry Kane there. And this time around, Serge Gnabry, who's pretty much in good form in this season and scored 2 goals today. And they're still hungry. Michael Olise playing from the right side there. Takes a kind of like a flank on the right-hand side, but bounced off Union defender. And now they have a corner kick. Oh, yeah, the corner kick has been taken.
But it goes out of play, and Union Berlin can have a slight sigh of relief because they don't have to defend for at least 1 minute as a substitution is coming up. And if I'm not mistaken, it is Hiroki Ito coming on, number 21. Could that be Buba?
It could be Hiroki Ito, 21, who is
being readied on the touchline, I think.
Right. And who do you think is going to replace there? I think it could be Lima or Min-Jae Kim. One of the two there.
So it is Hiroki who's ready and stripped to come on, but will have to be a defender who's coming off there. I kind of thought that maybe this would be a good opportunity to bring on one of the younger players, perhaps Pavic, Osmani or Della Rovere, but we'll have to see. Harry Kane again has the ball, but this time doesn't get a shot away. And it comes right across to Olise, who feathers a shot just wide of the left-hand side. It's been utter domination. They dominated possession the first half, but now they've dominated everything in this half, Uba.
Indeed. It's so scary to watch Bayern play. Every opportunity turns out to be a really, really good one. As we see Min-Jae Kim coming out there for Hiroki Ito. This is a 1-for-1, a defender for defender that's been made. Now, Hiroki Ito is also back in form, and he's been playing quite a good season, I would say. I'm very happy with his performance. The last couple of seasons under, I would say, Tuchel, it wasn't so much there. Declan Rice was pretty much the guy who was, is it Declan Rice who was playing much in that center defense? I can't remember anyways. It's been a year. What do I remember from last year?
And basically, we now have a completely all-new center defensive pairing, Diatop Makano and Min-Jae Kim off the pitch to be replaced by Rafael Guerrero and Hiroki Ito. So perhaps even an element of experimentation here for Coach Vincent Kompany. Remember, there is a game that probably won't be as straightforward as this for Bayern Munich coming up, and that will be in the Champions League against none other than Real Madrid.
Indeed, and I guess it's the reason why you have to also give a play chance to players like Guerrero. But I'm actually quite surprised because Guerrero is a trained midfielder. Suddenly he finds himself at the back. He's been playing a lot at the left back along when Alphonso Davies is not there. And today he's playing center defense there. So maybe he's switching roles now under Vincent Kompany. Bayern Munich still pressing really hard. The ones on the left-hand side there. Serge Gnabry playing all the way back to Ito. Ito plays it back. No, that was not Ito. That was Kim. Sorry.
No. Ito just has the ball now. Here we go, and it's gone all the way to Stanisic. Has to check back here and passes it on to Konrad Laimer, who's had quite an understated game, but I think he's been solid. Both wing backs, as it were, Stanisic and Konrad Laimer have been really good, actually, doing unsung work, running up and down. But to be fair, they've not had all that much defending to do, which I think will be different when they play against the likes of Vinny Jr., Jude Bellingham, and Valverde when they play against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But are you excited for that match?
I am so excited, but also a bit scared. Playing against a team like Real Madrid, of course, I'm a Bayern fan, so I'm definitely going to be there supporting Bayern, but also a bit scared because playing against Real Madrid is not an easy. Real Madrid have some troubles. They're not so very much in form with the challenges they have with their coach, but even the players themselves, you never know. It's Real Madrid. Whenever it comes to the Champions League, it feels like their property, so it's hard to beat them.
Of course, we spoke about Real Madrid earlier when we were referring to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who plays for them, being left out of the England squad, which is kind of surprising. They do have, of course, Jude Bellingham, another English international, who, even though he's been injured, was named in Tuchel's squad, but he's been injured. So hopefully by the time they play Bayern Munich, he will be able to take to the field. Of course, there's a certain aura about Real Madrid in the Champions League. a team that, has won the most titles in the Champions League. But, no matter how bad their form is, they even seem to raise their level, I guess.
Right.
As Manchester City found out. Although that would have been a great fixture, don't you think, had it been Man City to play Bayern Munich for Vincent Kompany, who has had a long history with Man City, so successful there, and actually have a chance to coach against his former mentor.
Right, that would have been a really
Guardiola.
interesting one, but I'm happy actually it didn't happen, because it might have been that Kompany has some, afraid of his former boss or playing against his former boss, that sort of thing. Maybe that minority complex might have happened there. This time around, it's not going to happen, because the Madrid coach, Abelao, is also as inexperienced as Vincent Kompany when it comes to winning silverware. That's why I call them inexperienced. Of course, they are great coaches, all of them coaching teams like Bayern and Real Madrid. Of course, it's not an easy feat, and they're doing a really fine job, both of them. So kudos to them. But when it comes to silverware, I would say they still have something to prove.
Right. One person who doesn't have all that much to prove in this match, because he's been such a deadly player, is Olise, as everyone slows down now for another substitution, this time for Union Berlin. They are bringing on another player, Josip Juranovic, the player.
Juranovic.
And I believe he's come on for Christian Trimmel, who's not had a very effective game, the captain of Union Berlin. He's normally a stalwart, very dangerous from a free kick position with his left-footed drive, but he's not walking very easily, so I think he might have also picked up a knock shame, and Juranovic comes on to replace him.
Or it could be more. Maybe the strategy of Union Berlin might change a little bit after taking out Trimmel and bringing in Juranovic. I don't know. Maybe something could change.
So, Bubba, there have been more goals across the Bundesliga. As we see Bayern just coming out for one more attack. It goes on to Serge Gnabry on the left-wing side. He tries to pull a shot, but it comes out all the way back, and actually Ronaldo is able to gather. But Werder Bremen taking the lead against Wolfsburg. That's an important. Both of those teams really need points. And Heidenheim, believe it or not, are now drawing with Bayer Leverkusen. Patrick Schick and Tillman had given Bayer Leverkusen a 2-0 lead, but that's been scratched. Thieringer and Behrens scoring in the second half to bring that to a 2-2 draw at the moment.
Crazy
Oh my
indeed.
goodness! What a shot out of absolute nothing. Some joy for Union Berlin as a rocketed shot gets saved by Urbich. Wow.
Union Berlin are pressing right now. Tom Rota on the left-hand side, taking a flank in there, aiming for...
I believe it was Haberer who had that shot just about saved. It was flying into the top corner, but Urbich was able to stop it.
Right. It was a really good opportunity, but they failed to convert it. As we saw, Alex Kral in there was trying to go for that particular header, but failed. Bayern are now in possession. Kimmich building a slow build up there. Iraqi Ito playing to Serge Gnabry on the left-hand side. Bayern are pushing slowly. And this is the thing about Bayern. They play as if they are not playing, and all of a sudden, they move from zero to 100 kilometers in less than a second. And that's how they get their goals.
So that, Buba, was the first shot on target for Union Berlin. Bayern Munich have had 9 shots on target, 15 shots off target. So utter domination, as you can see in the stats there.
Indeed. The ex-goal chances there, Bayern are 3.25 and Union are 0.1. So,
well, I think the fact that Bayern have actually scored more goals than expected was, oh, danger, another one here. But, that could have been 5. And it's a great assist, actually, from Harry Kane. He finds my man of the match, actually, for this game so far. Olise does everything right except, the 5 centimeters that would have taken the ball into the bottom left-hand corner. It goes off the bar and out for a goal kick. But I was saying that the difference between expected goals, which is 4, and actual goal, the actual goals, which was 4, and expected goals 3.25, probably has to do with the fact that no one could have predicted Harry Kane would score a goal in the way he did with so little space. So that was very, very exciting.
Indeed, that is the player in the caliber of Harry Kane. Having him on the pitch is already a good thing because he can create wonders, and he just created wonder out of really tight space. He scored that goal. Of course, Bayern are very happy to have Harry Kane, who might be extending his contract with Bayern again. Of course, Leon Goretzka taking a shot from the D and went over the post. A very easy one there for Friedrich Renault.
More exciting stuff in that game between Heidenheim and Bayer Leverkusen. Apologies, it wasn't actually... Actually, it was a really good shot there that came in. It's actually much better save, and it was actually from the substitute Woo Young Jong, who came with the shot. Apologies for saying earlier that it was Yannick Habra, because Woo Young Jong was the guy almost scoring there for Union Berlin. But another goal scored in the game between Leverkusen and Heidenheim. Patrick Schick has scored his second of the game. It's now 3-2 with just 9 minutes left in that one.
Indeed. We also have about 10 more minutes to go at this particular match at the Allianz Arena. Bayern are leading Union Berlin 4-0. Union Berlin in possession with Alex Kral being brought down by Michael Elise. Referee giving it there to Union Berlin.
Yeah, one of the few joys for Union Berlin. They've not been able to get much out of this game, but perhaps now an opportunity maybe to get a consolation goal in these last 10 minutes.
Certainly at least one goal, right, Kai?
Sure.
He will do Union a big favor.
None of their fans have left the pitch, which, also is a sign of just how valuable this team is to their fans, how much they hold them in esteem. Nobody's left. Actually, the entire stadium is completely full. I don't think anyone's left.
No.
Actually.
Like I said, Alex Kral, saved there by Olise. Took a shot, Olise just dashed in front of it. And this is exactly what I was telling you, Kai. In Kompany's list, every attacker is a defender. Every defender is an attacker.
But really good block there from Elise, because that shot from Kral was actually heading goalwards. And I guess it's also a sign of the commitment that Kompany expects from his players, that even though they're winning 4-0, they're still throwing bodies in front to block shots. Very exciting stuff. And also good things for the coach to see, because a lot of these players know that their places are probably, up for grabs here. Remember, Bayern are playing without Luis Diaz. They're playing without Alphonso Davies. They're playing without Nicholas Jackson. They will all come back at some point, and it's important for the, perhaps, I wouldn't say fringe players, but players that are not necessarily in the starting lineup to show that they can handle it here, yeah?
Exactly. That's the thing about Kompany's team, yeah? Usually you have players, these are players that have to start in every game. Look at that Bayern game against Bergamo.
Yeah, Atalanta.
Bergamo. Yeah, you have all these players. Harry Kane was on the bench, and after those goals, Kompany said, no need for you to go in. And Harry Kane was like, yeah, it's okay. And after the game, even in his interview, he said, I didn't see the need to come in there. And it tells you the mentality of these Bayern players on that Kompany. Exactly. Yeah. It's about the team, it's about winning, and it's not about you, and it's not about your position. This is what makes this particular Bayern team very dangerous.
And the fact also, Harry Kane, remember, we did also speak, we have also spoken before about Harry Kane and his... It wasn't necessarily expected to become such a club legend for Bayern Munich, if we're honest.
No,
from
everyone actually thought, it's the end of his football career. He's just going to slowly, say, I've played for another top team after a long spell with Tottenham Hotspurs. Didn't win any silverware there. Hoping to at least, maybe win one silverware and then off into retirement. It doesn't look like it. This is his third season, fourth season, no silverware with Bayern. Second season, he won did he win the League Cup?
They certainly won the Bundesliga.
They won the Bundesliga.
But all the time, Harry Kane was scoring goal after goal.
Indeed.
But what's, I think, impressed the Bayern hierarchy and also the fans is just how much Harry Kane has been able to, put aside his star power and sort of see himself as a mentor for a lot of the young Bayern players.
Right.
he's really well loved by the fans.
The Bayern management, his teammates, everyone just says really, really nice things about Harry Kane.
It was really funny because one of the games we commentated was in fact on Valentine's Day, and Harry Kane was laughing when at the end of the match he was given Valentine's cards by the fans and he was reading them on the pitch. It was really funny. Anyway, here comes Union Berlin trying to get something out of this game. They knock the ball across. Here it comes out, promising position. There's a shot that comes in, but it goes over the top. Actually, again by Woo Young-jung, who's actually had 2 good chances since coming on here. He's completely
exactly
free.
what I don't understand why Stefan Baumgart kept all of these players, Alex Kral and Woo Young-jung on the pitch and on the bench, sorry. And now they're doing an incredible, they're playing an incredible game right now, in my opinion.
Certainly they're playing with a bit more, okay, they don't have all that much to lose, but they're certainly playing with a bit more freedom now, are Union Berlin, with 5 minutes to go here. Certainly, perhaps, it's easy to say in hindsight, but maybe a bit of adventurous spirit would have been useful earlier in the match for them.
Yep, absolutely.
Meanwhile, there are goals literally streaming in across the Bundesliga, Buba, as we see here in the match between Heidenheim and Leverkusen, the game that does not stop giving. It's now 3-3, Leverkusen-Heidenheim there. And in the other match, Cologne, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Cologne have pulled one back. It's now 3-3 in that game too.
Indeed, a really exciting game. Stefan is getting really jittery nerves. As he's watching this game, he keeps telling me it's 3 goals. They've got 3 goals.
Anyway,
Cologne have equalized there.
Wow. Alexander Kral makes a good run, comes all the way to the goal, but to the Bayern goal, but loses it out just in the last few minutes. And Bayern are able to, last few meters, but Bayern is able to clean it up right at the end there as they rebuild from the back. Certainly, Alex Kral has made a fair difference since coming on. He's given them a lot more drive.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. He's, I'm not surprised because I've always seen him as an underrated player who can make a difference in any game. And this is certainly one of his top games, playing against Bayern, and he's currently making a difference there. As Bayern ready to bring in 2 more youngsters. 2 youngsters are getting ready to come in for Bayern. Let's see who those will be.
Gnabry coming off the pitch, definitely.
Gnabry scored 2 goals for Bayern today. And I'm quite, this could be Filip Pavic, who's definitely coming in here.
Certainly the fans are
There's actually Usmani, Evelyn Usmani coming in there for...
Goretzka is the other man coming off. And Maicon Douglas Cardozo, the 17-year-old,
right
onto the pitch.
Right.
So just to be clear, Evelyn Osmani is 16 years old. I mean...
how many 16-year-old Bayern has there?
So we have, in terms of 16-year-olds, we've got Leonard Prescott, who's 16 years old. He's still on the bench. We have young Macon Douglas, who's 17 years old. And, Evelyn Osmani, the 16-year-old. So,
and Bayern's goalkeeper on the bench, Prescott, 16.
Exactly. So when you look
Tom Bishop is 17.
And you look at Harry Kane, who is,
could be their,
he's
could
32.
Be their father.
He's literally twice their age.
Yeah.
We can laugh about that, but it also talks a lot about the absolute the mentality of Bayern Munich to also bring in young stars and trusting them to actually play well in the Bundesliga, bringing in such young players and trusting them in the Premier League here.
Indeed, these are all players from Bayern's under 19 team, all taking chances on the Vincent Kompany, playing in their games here, getting play time on the top level of European football.
And I mean, we talked about Leonard Karl, who by now we're kind of used to starting. He's also only 18, Bubba.
Indeed. We shouldn't forget that. He's made such an incredible mark since he came in there, and no one talks about how young the kid is anymore. Everyone thinks he's been there forever, but actually not. And Leonard Carl came, he was under controversy recently after he said his destination is Real Madrid. Bayern fans were not really happy about that comment.
Yeah, he is a young player. He's probably also going to make some mistakes, either on the pitch or off the pitch. That is perhaps comes with sort of the arrogance of youth.
Harry Kane takes a chipper.
Harry Kane puts his head in his hands, knowing full well that he really should have put that one away. He was one-on-one with the goalkeeper and looks to the heavens, and probably with a lot of disappointment, but really poor defending here by Union Berlin. As they give up the ball to the one guy you probably don't really want to give the ball up to, Harry Kane. But Harry Kane makes a complete hash of this, which is something we don't often say. He put one unbelievable goal away, and here he puts one wide.
This is not something that happens quite often, Kai, right?
No.
Harry Kane coming one-on-one with the goalkeeper and didn't convert that opportunity. This is quite shocking.
We've now had 90 minutes of play. The referee has not signaled any additional minutes. Not a single fan seems to have left the pitch by the looks of things. All the Union Berlin and Bayern Munich fans are still there as this game enters its final stages.
Indeed. Union pressing from the left-hand side.
Tom Rothe gives it to Kral. Kral trying to come in from the left-hand side. Knocks the ball right across, but his effort goes out of play, and it's going to be a goal kick.
A really good defending there by Hiraki Ito.
Not letting anybody near the ball. And now Bayern build up from the back. Stanisic.
Really impressive, Stanisic.
Brings it across to Michael Olise, who sort of half marches and strolls across. He finds Harry Kane in the position. It's a bit far-eyed, but Harry Kane managed to get a corner out of this. A corner, by the way, is the corner count for Bayern Munich at the moment is quite, well,
obviously
do you want
high.
to know? Can you put a guess as to how many corners they've had?
I would say it's just 4.
No, Bayern Munich have had 12 corners.
I don't know where I was. I was sleeping here.
So, another corner for... Well, I mean, this is one thing that perhaps they've not been so good on, to be honest. They have not been very efficient with their corner kicks and their set pieces, have Bayern Munich, which in a game like this probably doesn't matter too much, but against stiffer opposition might count. We've seen how effective Arsenal have been actually in the game against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Just how effective they were with set pieces was Arsenal. So, something to work on perhaps for Vincent Kompany.
Oh, that was a close call for Union Berlin. Came really close.
Almost getting in there, unable to get a shot off in the end, but coming close there. As Bayern Munich line up for another attack here. Comes across to Lima, passes it to Olise on the right wing side. Olise with his dancing shoes on, he moves across 2 defenders, but loses the ball, somehow finds a pass. Referee blows for a foul in favor of Union Berlin. Still not quite clear how many extra time minutes we still have here. We're definitely in stoppage time, but
we have 3 minutes of extra time, and 2 minutes of that, almost 2 minutes of that has been played. So we are into the final minute of this game as Union Berlin takes a free kick from their own half. Played it right across on the other half, but actually went over.
Went out and over, and Stefan Baumgart looks at his watch. I think he can't wait for this game to be over, because it's been a chastening defeat for Union Berlin, who with this defeat moved down to 10th position, below Augsburg because of their superior goal difference. Union Berlin have got a goal differential of -15 as the final whistle goes. And Vincent Kompany, perhaps a bit apologetically, goes over to Stefan Baumgart, says, well done, but,
Nice try coming at me like that, but absolutely brutal.
It's been an absolute brutal performance here by Bayern Munich. Not a single chance for I actually don't think there was one chance that Union Berlin had throughout that match where they could have scored. The rest was real utter domination, really one-sided affair, particularly in the second half for Bayern Munich. Harry Kane on the score sheet, but perhaps could have scored 2 or 3 more. So, Buba, who is your man of the match for this one?
I would give it to, because of that particular conversion there by Harry Kane, I would give it to Harry Kane. But I also have to say close call to Serge Gnabry, who scored 2 goals, and to me he was absolutely good. Michael Olise was also really good on the right-hand side there. Absolutely, he was also man of the match for me today. But because of that particular goal by Harry Kane, I would give it to Harry Kane.
So I think that's certainly a very good call there. I just on balance of how entertaining he was, I would have given this man of the match performance to Michael Olise. He was really an entertainer as well as he also got an assist. He got a goal. He was just very entertaining to watch. So he would have been my man of the match. But it doesn't matter what we think here in the studio. Probably we will find out who is the official man of the match in just a few minutes when it's announced, as we watch the Bayern Munich players go over to their adoring fans who, you know, are a bit used to this, watching their team sweep away sides, but it still never gets old, does it?
It never gets old. And also playing at the Allianz Arena, which is a really, really good place. Of course, Bayern winning there makes the fan feel like, okay, this is their thing, this is what they do. But if they had lost or actually drawn this game, it would have been devastating for them, because this is how it feels at the Allianz Arena. Even though they are the table toppers, they've always got to win. That is what they're used to. For us fans, it gets boring a bit when you see Bayern Munich winning like this. But today has been absolutely brutal by Bayern against Union Berlin, who were sitting really deep, looking for counter-attacks. But they didn't manage to create opportunities. They didn't manage to create chances, Kai. And if I can look at it tactically, how they played as well, I would say only towards the second half of the second half, in my opinion, that they tried to create chances with Tom Rote and Alex Kral, who were very, very versatile towards that midfield area, pushing towards the attack there. They tried to create chances there, looking into the spaces, playing into the spaces. They did that pretty well in the second part of the second half. In the first half, though, in my opinion, they were very, very much asleep and in defense.
Well, and just to have a quick look at the table so far, Bayern Munich with that victory move on to 70 points. And they lead second-placed Borussia Dortmund, who play, of course, in the late game this evening, who are on 58 points. So 12-point lead over that team, which is significant at this late stage of the season. Only 7 games remaining. So if Bayern Munich are somehow to lose the title, they will have to have quite a bad run of form now.
They would have to lose every game up till the end to not win this title. So at this stage, in my opinion, Bayern already has it, because there is no way on this earth that Bayern will lose all of their games to the end of the season.
Well, stranger things have happened in the Bundesliga, and
I'd love to see that.
We'll keep you informed. I don't want to give them title just yet, but they are edging closer. But Buba, just the biggest stat of there is that they've played 27 games and have scored, and wait for this, 97 goals already in the Bundesliga, and that is quite an astonishing statistic, no matter how you look at that. So we are obviously also going to be keeping an eye on them and watch how they move along there. Looking ahead, though, for the next set of games that Bayern Munich play, their next game is also going to be could be an interesting one, though. It's against Freiburg. They play. That's match day 28. Their next game, Leverkusen take on Wolfsburg. A big game coming up there as well. Werder Bremen, RB Leipzig, Mönchengladbach taking on Heidenheim. Hoffenheim versus Mainz, and Hamburg against Augsburg, with Stuttgart taking on Borussia Dortmund, which might be the bigger match of the lot, but we'll have to see there. As for Union Berlin, they also play a game against, relegation candidates, St. Pauli. Two of the smaller clubs, but perhaps two of the clubs with the biggest sort of cult fans, don't you think?
Cult fans, right. Like the most interesting stadiums to be in Germany. I would say those are the two stadiums.
St. Pauli or Union Berlin. That game will be held at the Alte Forsterei in Berlin. St. Pauli, the smaller club from Hamburg, of course, traveling there. And rounding up the round of fixtures will be Eintracht Frankfurt versus Cologne. Now, that match could take on added significance as Cologne have, and it has, I think it is now completely finished, that match, that they have managed to draw in an absolute thriller of a match against Borussia Mönchengladbach. So that Rhine derby ends in a 3-3 tie, and so does the game between Heidenheim and Leverkusen. Leverkusen, after drawing against Bayern Munich, probably feel that they've let themselves down there, haven't they, Buba?
They did, and I can't believe it. Bayer Leverkusen let a team that is about to be relegated, like Heidenheim, equalize 3-3. This is, to me, I'm really, really surprised. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the game yet, so I'm looking forward to going home and actually watching and analyze this game. How is it possible that a team that is about to be relegated to play against a top side, they are in the top 4 of the Bundesliga table right now, Bayer Leverkusen, in my opinion, they conceded in this case, even though, of course, they took home a point, but they did concede there. Behrens, who a former Union star, Pieringer, also former Union star, like really doing it well there for Heidenheim. Probably if Heidenheim gets relegated, you might have those players maybe coming back to Union Berlin. You never know.
True, we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And having a look at this stage of the season, one does have to also think who is going to be candidates for relegation. And unfortunately, Heidenheim is definitely a candidate for relegation, it has to be said, at this stage. So we will have to see how they are able to, if they are able to turn their season around. But looking at the second division of the Bundesliga, the Bundesliga second division, it is super tight at the top of that one, because there are a number of teams that could conceivably be promoted into the Bundesliga. And let's have a look at some of them. Elversberg, SC Paderborn, and big name coming up, FC Schalke. Schalke are currently tied with Paderborn and Elversberg on 51 points for the top of that, on top of that division. Although Schalke do have a game in hand, and that would be such a great thing for a lot of football fans.
I think it would be so nice to see Schalke back at the top tier football in Germany. They're one of the really, really bigger clubs in the Rhineland, across Germany. But they had financial issues at the COVID lockdown time. They lost a lot of money, and they were relegated as well. This is because one of their biggest sponsors, which is Gazprom, the Russian energy giant, actually, and Gazprom was kicked out of Germany, and because of that, Schalke lost a lot. So I'm so excited to see them doing so well right now and about to get back into the Bundesliga.
Well, we'll have to see if they do manage to get back in the Bundesliga. Still a lot of tight games ahead there, but perhaps Schalke will be back with us. Now, Buba, exciting news. We just had the heads up that the starting lineups have been announced between our late game Borussia Dortmund versus Hamburg. Now, I will let me take you through the starting lineup for Borussia Dortmund.
That looks really interesting, right?
Which I have to say I'm a bit surprised by. So I'll take you through it. Okay, Gregor Kobel in goal, no surprises there. But we have Nico Schlotterbeck in the on the left back position. Waldemar Anton taking over center back duties there. Luca Reggiani on the right back position. Julian Ryerson on the right wing position, with Marcel Sabitzer, Joe Bellingham, of course, the brother of Jude Bellingham of Real Madrid, and also, of course, former Dortmund player there. Felix Metscher, also in midfield. Daniel Svensson on the left wing position. Karim Adeyemi and Maxi Bayer as strikers there. So it's kind of a 3-5-2 formation against Hamburg. On the bench, of course, Alexander Meyer, Rami Benzabaini, Niklas Zule, Jan Kuto, Karni Chukwuema is there, Julian Brandt on the bench. That's a bit of a surprise. Salih Özcan, Fabio Silva, Seru Garassi, not named in the starting lineup. Probably see him come on later, though.
I think Girassi's had a bit of a tough late season. He started off pretty well, and he's struggling with form right now. And I guess it's mostly why he's on the bench. Instead, mostly I see Niko Kovac sometimes playing at the Yemi or sometimes not. But the thing with Niko Kovac sometimes is very, very difficult. It's a man I don't like personally. I don't like his style of coaching. I think he has this really good players that he keeps on the bench, and they don't develop really well under him. This is the reason why I don't like him. I don't know him. I have no personal thing with him. It's just because of that sometimes young talents are not given opportunities or chances under him, and sometimes not even young talents, but good players are always benched because maybe he doesn't have a good relationship with them. Maybe it's because Seru Garassi is also struggling right now.
So Seru Garassi, we've talked a lot about Harry Kane and how many goals he's scored already. But over the time that Harry Kane has been in the Bundesliga and has been the top scorer in that time, Seru Garassi comes closest, but he's still quite a long way off. Now, Buba, who's lining up for Hamburg?
Hamburg, indeed, they have in goal there Daniel Hoyer-Fan, and they're playing with a three-man defense there. Jordan Toru Nangiraga, Luka Vaskovic, Ahmed Omari, and they also have a similar lineup with Borussia Dortmund there. They are on the right back.
So William, the 3-5-2 formation.
Exactly, pretty much the same there. William Michael Brentsis playing on the far on the right position there. Fabio Vieira, Nikolai Remberg, Albert Sambi Loco, and Miro Muha. These are all defensive players, but of course you have Sambi Loco and Vieira there as offensive midfielders. And in front of them, Philipp Otele and Königsdorfer, Ransfeld Jan Königsdorfer playing in front of them there.
Now remember, those of our listeners from Ray Power, Philipp Otele is of course Nigerian, who will be taking up the position in the top, leading the attack and hopefully getting some points there for Hamburg. Remember, Hamburg currently in a good position now. They looked a bit shaky at the beginning of the season. Now they're more mid-table side, just behind Union Berlin. And Dortmund trying as their best to try and close the gap to Bayern Munich, but it'll be a massive uphill climb for them to get anywhere close to the Bavarian Giants.
Indeed, I would say though, Kai, I'm actually surprised by Dortmund. To me, in my opinion, they haven't played an impressive season, but they've managed to find themselves in the second on the table. So kudos to them.
Right, and that will do it for our transmission of the Bundesliga match between Bayern Munich and Union Berlin. As always, been an absolute pleasure hosting you here on DW Radio and DW Africa. My name is Kai Neba. It's been a pleasure.
And also from me, Buba Jallo, it's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep tuning in to DW Africa, and a big shout out to all of our fans in across the African continent, in East Africa, Uganda, UBC Radio, and also in Nigeria, Ray Power FM. Thank you so much. Until next time, bye for now.